Yo, what's up, guys? It's Toker Sins. This is a story of when I hit a lick and came up on a bunch of paraphernalia. Please like the video, then subscribe to hear more stories like this. I'm dropping a video at least once a week, so stay tapped in. Alright, let's get into it. So the day starts with me kicking it at Jordan's house. And with Jordan was Tommy. Tommy had a bottle. You know, like I said in my last video, he was the bottle god. He stole the bottles from CVS all the time. So anytime he was kicking it with us, we always had some booze. So we're kicking back, turning up. It was a hot ass day. We live in SoCal. It was summer at this point. It was probably one of those days where it's 100 plus degrees. Now we want to go do something because all the time we're kicking it at Jordan's house, we're getting messed up. It gets boring after a while. You know what I mean? So we want to drink and we want to go do something. We want to go have some fun. One of the ideas we came up with is going to the creek that's in town. This creek was about 15 minutes away from Jordan's. It was between two big mountains, and it had a nice breeze. So we pack up. Jordan had just gotten a whip, but he didn't have a license. Now, his parents were super lenient, so taking the whip was no problem at all. We hopped in. We grabbed... Tommy had the backpack with the bottle. I had the backpack with the weed and the bong. I think we were the only ones with backpacks. I don't remember Jordan having a backpack. We roll out. We get to the creek. There was another group of people there, which was a great sign because you're not allowed to go to this creek. And the ranger would stop by every day or every other day. And since there were people there already, that meant the ranger wasn't active that day. We started swimming. We talked to the people. You know, there's a spot to cliff dive over there. Not really dive, but you could jump off a cliff and land in the water. Super tiny spot to land in the water. It was pretty risky. We did that a couple times, and we decided we want to go hike up one of these mountains. Towards the top of one of these mountains, there was an abandoned house, and then even further towards the top, there was a house that was not abandoned. So, you know, we pack up our shit, we start trekking up to the abandoned house. Yeah, we mess around when we get there. You know, it had a great view in the backyard. It was up on almost to the top of a mountain, so you know, you could use your imagination. It was a nice spot to hang out. And we decide later on we want to keep going up towards that other house. We want to see what's cracking. So that's just what we do. We keep going up. Now, heading up towards the house that was not abandoned, there was a barbed wire fence and there was a camera by the fence. So once we start seeing that, like we're peeking around the corner, so the camera can't really pick us up, but we're seeing the camera itself and then the fence, I decide to go through the bushes. Probably like a little coyote path or maybe a mountain lion path. Hopefully not. But I cut through the little coyote path and I go around the barbed wire fence. I get to the camera. I turn that bitch up so it's not pointing at us. It's just pointing at the sky. And then I'm looking through the barbed wire fence and I find an opening in it. I yell at the guys. I'm like, yo, you know, the opening is right here. Come on. They pull through and we keep going up. It was a steep hike for the rest of the way up to the house that wasn't abandoned. So as we're walking up, getting closer to the house, you can start to see the roof of the house. And you walk up more and your vision of the house gets lower and lower, you know, because you're walking up a hill. Now, we see the roof, we walk up a little bit more and we see more cameras. And we get kind of tripped out. We're like, oh shit. You know, we don't see any cars in the driveway, but, you know, the cameras wasn't a good sign. So what I do is I tell them to hold up and wait. I'm going to try to see if there's a way that I could turn these cameras too. So I go all the way around, go through the thick bush. I come out behind the house. There weren't any cameras over there, but I could see their fuse box. Now I go up to the fuse box and I turn the main fuse off so the whole house doesn't have any electricity at this point. And then I go up to the cameras and I use a stick that was laying around. I think it was actually like a 2x4, a big piece of wood. And I'm just tilting all the cameras up towards the sky so they're not pointing at us, just in case there was like a backup power source for the cameras. And we're looking through the yard first, and there was like an ATV that was all run down to shit. It didn't start. We tried. There was a bunch of tools, you know, nothing that had real value to us. So we start peeking through the windows of this house, and we see the TV and all the other stuff that's, you know, grabbing our attention. So I pick up a rock and I throw it through the window. And then we wait. We wait to see if anyone was in the house, and they come out yelling, why the hell are you breaking my windows and shit? And nobody came out running, so we were 99.9% sure nobody was here. Now we climb through the window, I open the door, we all start going in the house, and then we just start ransacking. We start looking for shit that we could take, that we could sell. Jordan and Tommy, they came across one of those big 5-gallon jugs, and it was full of spare change. Like literally full to the top. So they're all hyped about that. They start splitting the change between the two of them. And I'm looking around, and I smell weed in this house. I was like a bloodhound. I was using my nose, sniffing through the rooms. The first bedroom, dead end. Second bedroom, dead end. Third bedroom, the smell got stronger. I'm sniffing around the bed, nothing, sniffing around the closet, and that's where it was coming from, the closet. So I started looking around in the closet, and I find an empty box for one of those Storz and Bickel weed vaporizers, the portable ones. I might have chopped up that name, but it was one of those German ones. And I see another little box that's like the aluminum stash can container that has the hydro pack holster, I guess you could say, in the lid of it. It was one of those overpriced weed container things. Now I'm looking around, and at the top left of this closet was like a vintage makeup box. I grabbed that makeup box. It was old, and it was easy to break open. So that's just what I did. I cracked the bitch open. I'm running through it. I find the Storz and Bickel vaporizer, score, the charger, the screen, the extra seals that come with it when you buy it. There was a big, heavy glass pipe, and one of my buddy's older brothers had a similar pipe to this, similar in size, and it costed him $150 at the local smoke shop. So, safe to say, that's a $150 pipe. There was another glass pipe in there, the aluminum weed container. I think that's it. I don't really remember there being anything else in there, at least that had value to it. So I load that up. I go out and I show the boys. They're like, dude, no way. They were pretty jealous that I came up on the weed stuff, but they were also happy with their change because they were starting to separate it. They realized there was quite a bit of money there. Later on, I asked them how much money there was after they counted all of it. It was like 160 something, so each one of them got about $80 from that. I got the weed pipes. We're doing a little final sweep because we want to get the hell out of there, but we don't want to leave anything else that we could take. There was a mattress in the living room, like a whole little bed thing in the living room for some reason. But I lifted that thing up, and boom, another glass weed pipe. So I got 3 weed pipes now from this place. Open the fridge. They had cold beers. We take the beers, and we decide, all right, the TV, the computer, everything else is too big. We don't want to have to worry about that. The only way to get up to this house is the same way we got to go down. So we really don't want to take anything that won't fit in our backpacks. So we roll on out. We start walking down. It's about a 40-minute to an hour walk all the way down back to the car. We were kind of anxious on the way down. If we talked about if we saw anybody drive up, if we were past the barbed wire, we would just have to dip to this on the side of the mountain and cut through all the bush. But if we got past the barbed wire, once the car passed us, we'd probably have to start running because as soon as they get home and realize their shit's broken into, they're going to come right back down the mountain and try to find us. Luckily, none of that happened. We walked down, we got to the car, we hopped in, we took a couple more swigs of the bottle, we finished it off, and then we leave. We're driving back to Jordan's house. Like I said, it's about a 15-minute drive there. About 2/3 of the way to his house, we are at an intersection, and it's a stop sign intersection, 4-way. We're in the car to go straight. There's a truck coming at us in the other lane, and then to the intersection to the left of us, there's a black car trying to turn left. We stop at the stop sign. The truck's coming up, and then the black car goes. They don't wait for the truck to stop. They just assume the truck's going to stop, and the truck doesn't stop. The truck smashes into the black car, and then the truck kind of, they hit the black car, and it kind of like pushes them to the side. So it kind of turns the truck, and then boom, head-on collision with us. This was an old ass car that Jordan had. It was like a 1990 something Civic, one of those dark green ones. The airbags didn't go off, and we were all drunk, so we didn't hurt at all, but we were tripping because we got in the trunk. There's 2 backpacks full of stolen shit. We're drunk, And Jordan doesn't have a driver's license. So I tell Jordan, I'm like, hey dude, me and Tommy are going to have to roll out. I'm sorry, but we can't be here when the cops show up. And he was totally cool. He's like, yeah, no worries. I'll deal with this. I'll call up my stepdad. You guys get the hell out of here. So we grab the backpacks and we go. The passenger of the black car, she had a beach towel wrapped around her. And she was screaming. It was wrapped around her stomach. And I was worried. I was like, oh shit. Was she pregnant or something? The driver gets out. And it's my homeboy. So I go. I say what's up to him. I find out she's not pregnant. But her ankle was hurting. Later on, he told me she had actually broke her ankle in that crash. So I tell him, oh shit, okay, yeah, I gotta go, bro. I'm sorry, don't tell the cops I was here. Good luck with everything. I'll catch up with you later. So me and Tommy dip out, cut through some neighborhoods. About 20 or 30 minutes later, I get a call from Jordan. He's like, dude, the cops are looking for you, man. I was like, what do you mean they're looking for me? He's like, yeah, the guy in the truck said that 2 people hopped out of my car and they had backpacks. They thought it was pretty suspicious that you guys just left like that. So I was like, oh, fuck, okay, well, we were almost at my house at that point. I wasn't tripping too hard. So we get back, when it gets dark, Tommy walks home. And that was that. Jordan's car was totaled. He didn't get in any trouble with his stepdad. The cops, gave him a warning because I forgot how he got out of that so easy. They didn't even realize he was drunk, too. And he was pretty hammered. He could handle his booze, though. My other homeboy in the black car, his car was totaled as well. He got a new car with insurance, though. He was chilling. And the truck, I don't know what the hell happened to the truck. That dude's a snitch, so who cares? Right? But that was it, man. I got home, I looked up the vaporizer online. It was like $300 at the time, retail. Great come up, very eventful day. Thanks again for tuning into the video. Dude, 13 subscribers? I love it. You guys are going to make me bust a fat load. Every time I wake up and I get a notification that there's more subscribers, I seriously get a smile on my face, man. It's weird. But thanks again, guys. Hope you have a great day. All right, bye.